So when you're doing an inspection on an aircraft, it's always a good idea, if you can, look at the back of your circuit breaker panel. This is in a Cessna 400, 414 to be precise. And any terminals, especially ones that look aftermarket, like somebody's been in there and worked on it, you want to put a finger on and just see if they wiggle. Because, oh, look at that. That will cause arcing, could cause heating up, could cause terminal to arc through the wire, and an intermittent fault that you'll have to troubleshoot. This one stuck out to me anyways because there's a sidewall that goes right here, and this terminal is going this way instead of the direction of all the rest of them. So somebody added this at some point, but you always want to look out for things like that. So that right there is actually how you want it, with terminals coming straight down, slightly bent. You can see it. These other ones that Cessna installed, if there's the right amount of slack on your wire, they should do that, or even cross, as you see Cessna did quite a bit. You don't want it turned around like that. Now this one, because there's already a heavy wire, looks like one of the bus wires coming on, what we're doing is we're moving it off to the side, but we're going to tighten it up. And in that case, this is where this flat screwdriver, Phillips number 2, comes in real handy, because it gets right up on there pretty easily. And can tighten up this screw the way we want, and we'll have the wire routed correctly and the terminals going correctly. And then one other thing we're going to have to check is the circuit breaker itself tight that this is connected to. And if you can see, yeah, it's not. That circuit breaker is very loose. Now it's twisted. Gonna have to set that up correctly. Looks like we might have a part missing. We'll get to that next. If I'm doing a jam nut on a circuit breaker like this one that's loose, not quite finger tight yet, this is where the very, very small, but not the smallest, Nipex come in very handy, because those jaws fit perfectly on the jam nut that holds in the circuit breaker. And when we get that apart, now we get it to the point I can turn it by hand. Take the jam nut, there's the lock washer, and I can almost bet you what's missing. There's a collar. See, there's a slot cut into those threads. You can see that there. Yeah, there's a slot. And there is a plate with a peg that's supposed to go into that little hole you can see just below that placard. It's missing, and that's why this thing can turn. Gonna go get one and we'll install it correctly. So this right here is the part that's missing. You can see it's got a little tab that'll go into the slot on the threads right here, and then there's another little tab right there in the front. And if you see here, that tab will engage the hole that's in the circuit breaker panel and keep things from spinning. So I just need to install this on the circuit breaker like so. Now things won't twist the way they were, and it'll all stay tight. But something you find fairly often after avionics installs, where maybe people didn't quite understand how things went together, or they dropped the part or something, but luckily I had a spare. And so with that plate installed and the peg on the plate engaged in that hole, we can tighten down on this nice and tight so it will hold without stripping anything, of course. And from now on, this circuit breaker is tight and all my wiring is tight. something else to look for when you're doing inspections. And as always, whenever you're doing work like this in a circuit breaker panel, make sure battery is off or disconnected and everything electrical is disconnected, or something as simple as just putting the screwdriver on right there. You could be doing a little bit of welding and sparking and possibly destroying things.